We are over at Albert and Irene's home this morning. We have removed the bucket gardens that they had over here under this shade cloth, and we're going to be putting in a Mittleider garden in the backyard. The reason why we're doing that is because they'll have much more productivity from the same square footage that they did from the bucket garden. Okay, so the first thing we decided to do was determine the length of the grow box. And we decided that 24 feet works great for this backyard. Then the next thing that we did was decided how far away from the fence we wanted to go. We decided to go 2 feet away from the fence to the edge of the grow box. And this board over here is actually the edge of the T-frame. So we can actually visually see how much distance we have to work between the grow box and the fence. Now this isn't the recommended 3.5 foot distance here, but it'll work in this backyard. Now we've removed the shade cloth structure. And as you can see, we staked out where we're going to be removing all the grass, the roots, the rhizomes, the runners, and so forth. The box is actually 24 inches away from the fence, and then we've got a 24-inch walkway right here where there'll be no grass. This will keep the insects from getting inside the box. It'll keep the weeds from growing inside the box. It's our buffer zone to keep the garden healthy and strong. We now have the grow box staked out and marked so we can visualize what it's going to look like. Okay, so now we have the stakes in. We started the first stake 9 inches away from the end, just as it indicates in the book, and then every 30 inches. You can see the stakes are all lined up on the outside of the string. Now we're going to go to the next step and attach the first piece of 2x8. Okay, we have the 18-inch wide, 24-foot box built. A couple things that we should have done differently is that corner over there is right on the dirt, and this corner over here is probably 2.5, 3 inches above the dirt. So if we would have leveled all this first, starting from that corner, brought some dirt down, then this all would have been evened out. The box is completely level. We followed the instructions as in the Mittleider gardening course book. As you can see, it's level right there. The reason why it's so important that this box is level from front to back and from end to end is because when we water it, we want the fertilizer and the water to go to all the plants equally. And if it's not perfectly level, you're not going to get that equal distribution. And it makes a significant difference in the plant growth and health. We're done for today. We're going to come back tomorrow and put in the T-posts. Okay, as you see, we have one more 2x4 to put up before the T-frame is done. So let me tell you what we've done on the T-frame. First of all, this center T-frame is right where the joint is that holds these 12-foot long boards together. So that means it's going to be 1.5 inches in from the inside edge there, or 3 inches in from the outside edge. So what we did over here on this 2x4 is that we marked 3 inches in from the edge and made sure that edge was there so that it would be lined up as we look down the 2x4s. Then what we did, we used a 4-foot level, put it on this side, and then we put it on this side, made sure everything was level, and then we put a couple screws down in here to help hold it on. I'll add another couple in here just for a little bit more security. We used a post hole digger to dig the 3 holes. Now we're using 12-foot lengths here. Typically we'd only use 10 foot. We're at 24 feet long, so it was as far as we would want to stretch these T-frames. If we had gone any longer, 25 foot, we would have gone with 4 T-frames instead of 3. But here we can just get 3 in, and that'll save Albert some money and a little bit less work. Before we put these T-frames in the ground, we completely built them as per the specs that you can download from the Mittleider Group Facebook page. So check the link below this video for that link. We put the 2 T-frames in first, and then use that to sight the center one, which gave us the right height, and it went in very quickly because when we looked to the top of this one, down to that one, and saw how high or low this was, we just added actually a couple more inches of dirt down here, and it brought it up just right. So it's the right height, and it lines up straight down the sight here. Once we had all 3 of those T-frames in, it was then time to put the 2x4 supports on. So we measured from the end post to the center of the center 4x4 on both sides, making sure that the distance on the front and the back was the same. I then cut the 12-foot length board to fit, so it went from the flush on the edge of that T-frame to the center of this T-frame. And then we did the same on the back. That way we know that these two T-frames are square. Then we did the same thing here. And now you can see we're ready to put the last one here on the back. You see this little white tag here? I go around with my needle nose pliers and pull the little tags off just because I like it to look nice. I also look at every piece of lumber before I put it on and look for the pretty side and think about how people are going to look at the garden, especially the homeowner, so they see the prettiest side of the wood. There may not be a really pretty side, but we try to put the best side out. So one more piece of lumber here, then we're done with the 2x4s. We're going to go ahead and fill in the grow box. The first thing I put in is my sawdust on the bottom. You can see it kind of on the edge there. And then that's 3/4 of the way up, so about 6 inches deep. And then we put in the coarse sand. Coarse sand is the same as the blow sand that you read about in the Mittleider gardening course book. I have the little tiller here, and before we till it in, we need to add some pre-plant fertilizer and some weekly feed. So I keep my weekly feed and pre-plant fertilizers already mixed and in buckets, and I have a scale. We're going to be putting in 1 pound, 8 ounces, because this is a 24-foot long bed, of pre-plant fertilizer, and then we're going to put in 1/2 ounce per linear foot of weekly feed, which is going to be 12 ounces. We just sprinkle that in on the top of the sand, and then we use the tiller to till it all together. Okay, we have the plastic up. It's nice and secure. It's going to add great protection to this grow box. You can see we also have the horizontal 9-gauge wire attached on one bolt. Goes all the way through the center post, through the hole, and attaches to the end post down there. And that way, when we drop down the curtain down the side, we'll still be able to have something to attach the vertical Baler twine to grow vertically. We did not tighten the 9-gauge wire down very tight. We try to keep it somewhat loose, but not sagging. Another advantage of having the PVC going over the top for the A-frame is that it'll give structural support all the way down the 2x4s to keep the 2x4s nice and straight. For the last step of the grow box is we added the lower horizontal wire to grow vertically. And every 6 feet we put in a stake and a screw. We happen to use a 1 1/4 inch galvanized screw there. Wrap that wire around there. That way it stays about the same level as you're adding plants to the vertical wire. So another 6 feet, we've got the post there. Generally we do it about every 5 feet, but we've broken this up into 6-foot increments here, which would work fine. And then that will hold the vertical Baler twine. We recommend 170 pounds or 210-pound Baler twine. Please do not use packaging twine or hemp or anything else. Please use the Baler twine. It'll last longer, it won't break, your plants won't fall down. At any rate, you can see how we would attach the plants down to the bottom, then wrap the Baler twine around the plants. Now typically, if you're 6'2" like I am, you can just reach up there and tie a little overhand slip knot. But if you're a wee Irish girl, you may just want to use this little knot down here. I'll have a link to how to tie this knot below this video. So Irene and Albert's grow box is now completed. As we get closer to winter and they need the curtains, we'll add those, but that's another day. I'm very happy with this project. I think it looks great. I'm looking forward to them going down and getting some plants and some seeds and start filling it up and being able to eat fresh produce from the backyard. This is LDS Prepper reminding you, if ye are prepared, ye shall not fear. And if ye have the time and some good friends, take a couple days and help them put a garden in the backyard. You'll be forever grateful, and so will they.